What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Derek, and today we're going through the best settings inside of OBS if you're trying to live stream or record gameplay to your system. I do this video every year. It's one of the most popular videos on my channel, and I get requests every single year to provide an update. I've been streaming, making videos for years. I'm always tweaking, always testing things, and these are the settings that I've found have always worked best for me, and obviously they change throughout the years as I learn new stuff, find out new stuff, try new things, etc., etc. And so I'm going to share that with you for my updated video of the best settings for 2022. Not only am I going to give you the best settings and what I feel are the best settings to actually run, both in terms of quality and in terms of actual practicality, I'm also going to explain to you exactly what each of these settings inside of OBS does. That way you're able to tell going forward and you don't have to rely on someone like me to give you the settings. All right, so with that said, let's roll the intro and jump into it. You guys can see on my screen here I have OBS loaded up. Now, whether you're using OBS, Streamlabs OBS, or whatever program, these settings are pretty much the same across the board. It's just, you know, most people use OBS Studio or Streamlabs OBS, but I find most people use OBS Studio, so I'm going to do it through there. But again, especially with Streamlabs OBS, it's pretty much identical. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and head into our settings of OBS Studio by clicking the settings button. If you're running Streamlabs OBS, it's in the bottom left corner of the application. You'll see a little gear icon. All right, so as you guys can see, the first tab we're on is general. There's not really anything that you're going to want to change in here unless you're like maybe using replay buffer or something, which is a whole different video. I've done one on the channel. You can look it up if you want to know what it is. But you know, you might want to have that automatically start if you're doing that, or have it automatically record while you're streaming if you're wanting to record a high quality video as well as stream at the same time. That way you have something to go back and edit later. But outside of that, there's nothing here that you're really going to change. So the first main tab that we're going to go to is stream. And so when we go to stream, you're going to actually select your service here. You can select Twitch, you can select YouTube, Facebook Live, Restream, Twitter, show all, which then shows you all of them. So you can show them all if you want, but that shows, you know, every different place that you can stream that is built into OBS Studio. Now, I use Restream, which allows me to stream to multiple services at the same time. So we will leave that here. And then once you select, like if you're only streaming to Twitch, you're obviously going to select Twitch. And then most of the time you now connect your account inside of OBS instead of having to actually enter in stream keys or anything like that like you used to. So you're going to just click the button here that'll allow you to connect your account. Do that and you'll be good. For the server, I would suggest using auto detect. You know, I've tried over the years to like select my own server. The problem is if you ever start a stream and you know, are on a single server and it happens to be congested at that specific time or whatever, then you're going to run into issues. You're going to have to literally shut down your stream and change your server and everything. So I found it's best just to leave it to auto detect and let the program do its thing. It's pretty good at, you know, picking a decent server each and every time. Once you connect your account, that's all you need to do under the stream tab. We're going to go ahead and move to the output tab. The output tab is the main settings of your live stream and your recording of your video. So whether you're trying to stream or whether you're trying to record a video, this is where you're going to do it. When you first load it up, you're going to be under the simple tab here and have something that looks like this. We're obviously going to want to switch to advanced mode. That way we can edit everything and really get the best quality for you. So for streaming, number one, if you're running an Nvidia graphics card, you're going to want to be using NVENC H.264 new if that option exists. If you have a really low end or a really old NVENC or Nvidia card, you may not have an NVENC chip in it, which means that you will not be able to use this. But if you have an Nvidia graphics card and you have the option of using Nvidia NVENC H.264 new, that's what you're going to want to use. Nvidia graphics cards, unlike AMD graphics cards, so if you have an AMD graphics card, I'm sorry, this isn't for you. But unlike AMD graphics cards, Nvidia has a chip built into their graphic cards that encodes your live streams. So that means that your graphics card will actually do all of the encoding of your live stream, send it out, and you won't actually get a hit on your actual frames in game. It won't use the main part of your graphics card to do the encoding of your live stream or recording of your files if you're just recording video, which is really, really cool. I don't know why AMD hasn't done this yet, but they should. It's really dope. It really helps out streamers, and not just streamers, but anybody recording gameplay of their footage. Now, you might take a little bit of a hit depending on the quality settings that you use. And for example, the quality that I use, you will take a bit of performance hit on your frames because I max almost everything out besides the exception of one thing that I've changed. So let's go over that right now. And then I will go over X264 for those of you that have an AMD graphics card or you have an Nvidia card that doesn't work, that doesn't have NVENC, then we'll go over using your CPU to do the encoding, because that would be your other option. First things first, you're going to select NVENC, H.264 new, as I said, if you're running the NVIDIA graphics card. Rate control, we're going to do CBR. That's a constant bit rate for streaming. We want to make our bit rate constant. If you try to do something where it's variable and stuff, I know some people try that, or like NVIDIA has this CQP method. The problem is with internet speeds, having something that's consistent and stays consistent is going to be better for you than something that becomes variable, because then sometimes your internet provider is going to have a hard time keeping up with it. So this means constant bit rate. It means that the whole time you're streaming, the software is going to try to keep your stream to 6,000 kilobytes per second, which would be about 6 megabytes per second. So that means the whole time you're streaming, you're going to be uploading at a speed of about 6,000 kilobytes per second. That may change a little bit, but it'll keep it around there. Keyframe interval. This is going to be set to 2. You can leave this to auto, and the streaming service that you're streaming to will automatically set it to 2, but almost every single streaming service out there uses 2. It's better just to set it to that. That way you make sure there's no issues. So for the preset, if you've watched any of my past videos, I always ran with NVENC max quality. And I've actually switched recently down to quality for 2 reasons. Number 1, you really don't notice that much of a difference in quality. I've done lots and lots of testing. Actually, I've done whole videos on my channel where I tested different NVENC settings in like Cyberpunk 2077 and Grand Theft Auto and stuff. And there's really not any noticeable difference in the quality. But there is one downside to running max quality. And that is that sometimes when you're running max quality, it definitely uses more of your graphics card than just the NVENC chip. And sometimes when you're capturing specifically game capture mode, certain games will sometimes cause this to then mess up, and it'll cause your OBS to have issues. This is especially true if you're trying, at least for me, when trying to stream virtual reality games, VR games. So I've had issues with games like Beat Saber. If I have this set to max quality and I'm trying to stream Beat Saber, for whatever reason, I know there's going to be people in the comments like, I have it set to max quality. I play Beat Saber. No issue, no issue. Cool. I have issues for whatever reason. So I found that just taking this down to quality, I no longer have any kind of issues no matter what game I'm capturing. It just worked. I still leave everything else how it was, which means the profile from main, which is the default, I still have it set to high. Look ahead and cycle visual tuning, I have both of those checked. So look ahead and cycle visual tuning, let me explain what those do for you. This allows the encoder to dynamically select the number of B frames between 0 and the number of B frames you specify. B frames are great because they increase image quality, but they consume a lot of your available bitrate. So they reduce quality on high motion content. That's the downside of B frames. They consume a lot of available bitrate, so they reduce quality on high motion content. Look ahead enables the best of both worlds. This feature is CUDA accelerated. Toggle this off if your GPU utilization is too high to ensure a smooth stream. So this means it does not, if you have this checked, it does not use your NVENC chip. It actually uses some of your CUDA cores, so you will take a performance hit. That's why I said some of the settings I use do still cause you to take a little bit of performance hit, but I like it. So basically, B frames reduce quality on high motion content. Look ahead enables the best of both worlds, so it looks ahead at frames or tries to, so that it can, even in fast moving content, still make it look good and make your image look better. Cycle visual tuning, that's gonna optimize the way that your computer, your system is using your bitrate so that you just get a better looking image. And so that's all that those two things really do. They just basically improve the quality, but I wanted to give you guys the exact. GPU, this is set to 0 unless you are using multiple GPUs in your system. That means, let's say you have a rig set up and you have 2 graphics cards, one that you're using for your own play. Like, let's say you're running, 3080 Ti for your main card. And then let's say, I'm going to pick up a cheap, 2060 that I can use the NVENC chip of that and its CUDA cores and stuff to do my live stream, and that way my main card's not taking a hit. Then you would adjust this GPU to select your other graphics card. But if you're only running one graphics card like most of us, then this is going to be set to 0. Even if you're using a dual PC setup, the PC that you're streaming from is only going to probably have one graphics card, so this is going to be set to 0. Max B frames, this can be set anywhere from 2 to 4. If you have look ahead and psycho visual tune-in turned on, you're going to want to increase max B frames to 4. Okay? And then that is your settings for streaming. For recording with NVENC, so we go over here, you can see everything up here is pretty much the same. You're going to choose your recording path. You're going to choose your recording format. I do MP4. You're going to choose your encoder. We want to use the NVENC H.264 new. And then down here, we basically have the same exact settings as our streaming. So CBR, the only difference is in our bit rate, we're going to do 25,000 or 25 megabytes per second. Everything else, keyframe interval, could be set to 2. You can leave it to 0 because we're recording. We're not sending it to a streaming service. Quality preset, again, I changed for max quality because of those issues I said. Profile high, look ahead and psycho visual tune and check. Max B frames 4. The other option with recording, if you want even a little bit better quality, which is going to take way more space, and I don't think it's worth the trade-off, but again, this is on the best quality settings and my best personal settings. So for best quality, if you go to CQPU, this is NVIDIA specific, but this does really, really well if you do a 15. The file size is going to be larger than 25,000 kilobytes per second. So on your hard drive, you're going to take up more space, but you will get just a little bit better quality if you're really trying to get that better quality. Really, if you go anything lower than CQ level 15, the quality is going to theoretically increase, but it's pretty much going to be indistinguishable and not really worth it. So I would either run CBR 25,000 or I would run CQPU 15. Again, I stream and record at the same time. That way, I'm streaming to people, but I also save at the end of my stream. I have my whole live stream saved on my hard drive that I can go through and then edit in my program, pull clips from, and all of it's in nice, high quality video that I can then upload. I like using CBR to make it consistent between the two for my encoder and everything. So I just use 25,000. I find that that's the best trade-off for file size and quality. Anything higher than 25,000. It might look just a touch better, but not really. So now we want to do CPU. So if you're using a CPU or you have an AMD graphics card, which means you're going to use a CPU to do your encoding, you're going to want to select X264. So when we go to X264, you're going to have, again, your constant bit rate for your rate control. And we're going to want to do, again, 6,000. Okay? Keyframe interval is, again, going to want to be set to 2 for streaming. Profile, again, we're going to go to high. Tune, these are just like overlays, like grain and stuff that go over the image. You don't want any of those. So now, the only difference really here, you can look online. There'll be tons of people that tell you to add X264 options, and they'll have you add different things in here that supposedly give you better quality, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, I've done all the testing. Again, it's unnoticeable. You're not really going to see any better quality out of it. Here's what matters more than anything. What you want to do is do a test stream. So you're going to pull up Task Manager and go to Performance, and you can see your CPU. Right now, I'm using about 18 to 20% of my CPU. So depending on what you're using, what you can do is increase this. So the basic is very fast. If your computer's struggling on very fast and your CPU's maxed out, you're getting down here in the bottom left, you're getting encoding overloaded if you're using X264, then you'll want to go to super fast or ultra fast. If you go to one of those, obviously the quality is going to drop. It's going to become worse. Better quality is going to be going down to faster, fast, medium, slow, slower, very slow, placebo. So the further you can go down this list, the better quality your stream is going to be. You're probably not going to get past fast or medium with any normal CPU, even high end. Like I'm running the 3950X, 16 core, 32 threads. I probably wouldn't even be able to get past medium myself. Even with the new 5000 series of them, I doubt you're going to. Encoding on a CPU is very CPU intensive, but if you have a nice CPU, you can definitely go from very fast to at least faster or fast, which just dropping those 1 or 2 notches is dramatically going to increase the quality if you're using your CPU to do your encoding, okay? So you can see CPU usage, and that's what you're going to look at as you're adjusting this down to, this down lower to see where you can stream at. You don't want to be maxing out your CPU. You want to leave a little headroom. I would say, personally, I probably wouldn't want to go over like 70% of my CPU being used. That way I still have some for my games and stuff, or else you're really going to run into problems. But bring this down if you can, and that'll drastically, if you're using your CPU to do encoding, bring up the quality of your stream. Other than that, using like X264 and options and stuff, really not necessary. The other thing is, if you are streaming to YouTube and you're not streaming to Twitch, you can increase your bit rate, and this goes for NVENC and for X264, your CPU. You can increase this up to 10,000 kilobytes per second on YouTube. I think most people recommend 8,000 with a 1080p 60 FPS stream, but you can even do 10,000. But Twitch has a max limit of 6,000 kilobytes per second for live stream. So you don't want to go over 6,000 if you're on Twitch. I think Facebook's also capped at 6,000. But if you're on YouTube, you can increase that bit rate to get a little bit better quality stream as well. For recording, once again, the same thing. We're going to go over here, X264 CBR. I would run 25,000. The keyframe interval, you can leave this at 0 because we're doing that. The profile, again, is going to be high. And again, the CPU usage, you're just going to go down as far as you can. Or if you have to, you're going to go up if you don't have the, best CPU in the world. I don't actually know, so just, fair warning. I don't know, like, if you stream and record at the same, like maybe you do this with streaming, you get down to fast, everything's working fine, but then you add in recording. I don't know how that works, to be honest, because again, I use NVENC most of the time and I've not tested it, but you might go down the fast, add streaming or add recording, realize that then now you're struggling. So you might have to go to faster on both of them. I'm not exactly sure, but just pointing that out for you. I mean, I'm sure it'll be easy to see. You'll know, you'll get this NVENC, your encoder overloading error if you're having issues. You should be set up whether you're using NVENC or you're using your X264. So once you have that set up, the next thing we want to do is go to your video, which is where you're going to select your base canvas resolution and your output scaled resolution. So this is where it allows you, this is where you need to set up that if you're going to, for example, my main monitor is actually an ultra wide and it's at 3440 by 1440. However, I don't actually want to stream at that. So I set my base canvas resolution to a 1920 by 1080, a normal 16 by 9 aspect ratio, which then means my actual canvas inside of here that I'm working with is a 1080p canvas and not an ultra wide canvas, which works for me. And then if I use something ultra wide on like my monitor, I'll just have black bars at the top and bottom, which I'm fine with, honestly. But I'd rather have the normal aspect ratio for those people. But let's say you're doing a 1080p, you have a 1080p monitor or 4K monitor, and you want to downscale to, let's say, 720p. Well, you can do that here. So your base canvas resolution is the actual resolution of what you're working with. Like if you brought up an image in Photoshop or something and you were making a canvas and setting the size that you wanted to work with. And then your scaled resolution is what the output actually is going to be. So if you want to do 720p at 60 FPS because your CPU is not that great, and you're using your CPU or, whatever. Some people like to do 1600 by 900, which is not an option, or actually I guess it would be for here. This 1536 by 864, 16:9 aspect ratio. Some people like to use that. I don't know why. They say it gives you the best of both worlds, the better quality than 720p. If you have NVENC, it shouldn't be an issue. Run 1080p. They say 6,000 bit rate's not enough. Dude, I have people join my streams all the time, and they're always like, "Oh my God, your stream looks so good." Don't listen to all these out there telling. If you're using NVENC, your downscale filter, you want to go ahead and have this maxed out at 36 samples lengths. This does not matter if you're using, if you're not scaling your resolution on your output. If you're using X264, I've always found bicubic to be a little bit better. This just takes a lot more resources that you don't really need. And bicubic is fine. NVENC, it doesn't hurt to run it, so you might as well, even if it's only giving you a little bit additional. Under our advanced tab, the only other things that I changed personally for my settings is here under general, the process priority. This is if you're using NVENC, this doesn't actually do anything in terms of your NVENC, but if you're running your CPU, like an X264, this gives OBS priority over all other applications when it comes to your CPU. So what that means is maybe your game takes an extra a little bit longer to load up. Maybe it stutters, it'll stutter instead of your OBS stuttering out, which to me, at the end of the day, if you're streaming, you want your audience to get the best benefits. Meaning, like, if something bad is going to happen, I'd rather have it happen to me or me deal with it than my audience. So I put my OBS at a little bit higher of a priority, just so that everything runs smoothly on there. Even if I'm running NVENC, I have this at above normal just because I am always having up different, I have Chrome tabs open like crazy for all the different places I'm streaming, for chats, for different things like that. I have several applications open. And again, I just want OBS to, no matter what it's doing, I want it to get priority with my CPU so that it's not lagging or having any kind of issues. And then outside of that, you should be good to go. And I found, again, that really will give you the best settings inside OBS or Streamlabs OBS or whatever program you're using. Those settings will give you the best quality, the best bang for your buck. Like I said, there was a couple things I mentioned that might increase the quality just a touch more. However, honestly, just not worth it. The amount of better quality you're getting versus the amount of tax on your system just is not worth it. All right. Hopefully that helps. I know it's a long video. Again, I like to not just give you guys the settings like a lot of other people, but I actually like to try to explain to you guys what all of these different things mean. That way, going forward, you know exactly how to set it up yourself or what you might want to tweak to try to find your own best settings. Because at the end of the day, no matter whether it's my video or any of the other streaming gurus out there videos, you got to kind of tailor this stuff to your system, to your setup. If you never do VR content, for example, when I never ever did VR content, I never really ran into an issue of having this at max quality. And I ran it at max quality all the time, and it was perfectly fine. So if I wasn't doing VR content, I might go ahead and put that at max quality. But since I do VR content, I drop it down to quality, and that helps me not have issues with my VR content. You might have VR content and be able to run max quality and have zero issues with it. Again, every setup, every extra driver that you have in your system, every extra software that you have in your system, all causes things to play together a little bit different. What LAN adapter, Wi-Fi card, or whatever's on your system compared to mine might make things play together a little bit differently. So just all things that you're going to have to take into account. So hopefully by explaining that stuff to you, you'll know, if you're running NVENC and you're having issues for whatever, you're not getting, maybe you only got like a 3060 or 2060, so you have NVENC, but you don't have a lot of headroom in your actual graphics card. Maybe you turn off look ahead and psycho visual tune and then turn your B frames down to 2. That's decisions you're going to have to make, in terms of how much of a performance hit in game you're going to want to take versus the quality you're sending to your live stream. But again, hopefully by explaining all that, it helps. If you do have any additional questions, feel free to ask down in the comments below. I'm very, very active in my YouTube comments. I try to reply to I would say I reply to 95% of comments on this channel, assuming that I get most of them by YouTube. But there's very few times that I don't reply to comments. So if you have a question, leave a comment. Happy to help. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out, everybody.